Who benefits more in marriage, man or woman?
I think there's no benefit for a man, unfortunately, in the Western way of marriage. I think it's so sickening that, we have this agreement that women, when they divorce a man, they can just leave with a lot of his money or expect alimony for the rest of their life. And one of the things I always ask women is, are you going to have sex with him after you divorce for the rest of your life? And she's like, why would I do that? I was like, then why do you expect payment for the rest of your life? It's so strange that they want the perks and the lifestyle of the one that they attained from jumping on the back of their husband after the divorce, yet they wouldn't give anything after the divorce. They didn't even give a lot of that during the marriage, let alone after. So I feel like it's it's almost a culture of creating sadistic women by pushing that kind of, you get half after the divorce. And they seem to say, well, a lot of the excuses, oh, but I wasted so many years being dedicated to him, but you both wasted it. That's a risk you take. He also wasted many years being
They were right when they said the truth will set you free. Men have become all too familiar with the institution of marriage, and not for the reasons often portrayed by mass media. For women, as it's said in this clip, it's an investment of zero consequence. They're able to gather interest for nothing at all. It always plays out in this order. Shack up the guy in his late 20s or mid 30s, find someone else who will tolerate the abuse, and then run off with the bag. For men, the tragic inverse is just as consistent. Buy the lie, share the wealth, and lose half or more of your savings and assets as soon as the gavel hits the sound block. Within just a few years, you're forced by the court system to live in a studio apartment because you were sold the lie that the 304 at the bar had your best interests in mind. The blind masses will cheer you on as you sign your life away, and yet they're nowhere in sight when you're left to pick up the pieces. Here are the top comments. Women are not looking for husbands. They are looking for a life raft and a retirement plan. Been married once, will never marry again, unless she's something special. Their loyalty don't last nowadays. When you get dragged to court one day because she fell in love with someone else and they take your kids and make you pay for it, you'll understand what she is talking about. The second comment for those following MGTOW is a major cause of concern. Sure, he's right about female loyalty, but the rest reeks of hopeful desperation. This commenter needs to follow the lead of the other two. Take it from people who have actually been burned. This is in no way a battle you're destined to win. One of the major causes of the marriage trap to begin with is putting the clam on the pedestal. Idolizing women is how many simps end up drowning when it inevitably comes to an end. They follow these 3s and 4s into the abyss, all the while telling their worried bros, don't worry, she's the one. It's a vicious cycle bros know all too well. For passport bros, going overseas definitely increases their odds for a lucrative partnership. But women in the West are about as unique as newspapers hot off the press. You won't be finding anything promising on your home turf over here. This is a reality you need to hold close to your chest. Most of these chicks follow the same influencers, YouTubers, and lifestyle gurus. They hop from circle to circle, parroting the same "girl don't need no man" mantra they've heard for almost a century. The tired cliche saying becomes a battle cry as they raid your house and rob you of your identity. For any guy that's gone on more than 2 dates, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These chicks come in contact with just enough soy boys to think the opposite sex is on their side. However, as the harsh truth continues to be publicized, even the most brainwashed have started to open their eyes to the landmine factory that is Western marriage. Let's take a look at this next clip.
So how much did my divorce cost me? Well, this is a fantastic question. There's direct and there's indirect costs. Direct costs, I lost $106,000 out of my 401k retirement plan I spent 20 years contributing to. I also lost half the equity in the home, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, cash, and savings that I also spent 20 years contributing to. I also lost half of all the non-liquid assets like furniture, household goods, electronics, cars. Keep in mind, I paid for all of these. And this is in addition to financially supporting her and her/our daughter for 17 years, which is many hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm now broke, live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and have a negative net worth for the first time since I was, 25. Indirect costs: my job, my sobriety, my self-worth, my masculinity, my hope for the future, my ability to trust women again, my belief in God, my pride, my motivation, my physical health. I don't know, let's just say everything.
This guy unfortunately never got the MGTOW memo, at least not until it was too late. Most of these guys didn't have a channel like this to fully understand how dangerous trust can be when it's placed in the wrong hands. Let's just break down how devastating this man's decision was to his life. As he said, there are layers of loss that followed his choice here. Many reference the loss of savings alone, but few account for the additional damage Western marriages cause. By taking part in the thought-pocalypse, that is the Western world, this guy didn't just lose a chunk of his bank account. This radioactive broad took everything but the kitchen sink, except the phrase doesn't even fit here because, as he just told us, he lost that too. 2 decades of hard work and sacrifice was snatched away in mere months because he lacked the foresight to consider his wife was innately self-absorbed. The woman even took his retirement plan. Now the loss is guaranteed to haunt him to his grave. With dead eyes, he does the only thing he can do: warn the rest of the poor schmucks before it's too late. Men, sometimes it takes witnessing a major loss to recognize this simply isn't a gamble we can afford. The modern woman knows that the system will always be on her side. She knows that loyalty is an option, and she'll look for any reason to profit off your misfortune, and she'll most likely celebrate the collapse of the empire she destroyed. These ladies are on their lifelong villain arc, and a lot of them do this shit just for the rush alone. Stealing from naive men has become a recreational sport. It's a sad reality, but reality nonetheless. Let's look at some comments. Her/our daughter, ? Sir, what? Marriage is a woman's retirement plan. Regardless of how innocent, pretty, and loving she is, sign a prenup. Having a prenup will protect you and your marriage. She won't be foolish enough to ask for a divorce if she ain't benefiting from it. If only the last comment here held any water. According to Stelk law, the most common grounds to dissolve a prenuptial agreement include coercion or duress, unconscionability, and failure to disclose. The courts will generally enforce prenuptial agreements. However, when one or more of these grounds exist, the court may see fit to void all or parts of a prenup. This is the harsh truth many men don't confront until it's too late. Prenups are often just another pretty label on the Western lie. The promise may seem solid on paper, but for the everyday guy, you most likely don't have the resources or army of lawyers to back things up. Let's point out one thing mentioned by the first comment. The fact that this was a baby mama should have been a major red flag. If you see a single woman with a kid, the best assumption one could make is that this member of the meat curtain mafia is a professional. She's a financial assassin that will more than likely see any successful man over 40 as a perfect mark. And if you've been following closely, when it comes to singles with baggage, this is all but guaranteed. Here's the next one.
You looking for a $100,000 wedding?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
I have high standards, and I feel like I shouldn't lower them just because.
I have high standards too. I went to a justice of the peace.
Okay.
Married 32 years. The biggest weddings are the shortest marriages, I swear. You know, Kim Kardashian, that dude, 72 days. Took her longer to pick out the dress than it did to be married to her. You know what I mean? You look at, that's just a party. You have that party with, like on your 25th wedding anniversary, then you could spend that kind of money. $100,000, you're never gonna get married, honey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what that's the wrong goal. The goal is to have him like for 40 years, not to have one party.
This is one of the only judges you'll find in America that's telling it like it is. Most are quick to support the female by any means necessary. Just ask the last guy. The average cost of a wedding is almost $40,000. Add all of the unnecessary ceremonial trinkets, and most chicks will eagerly drag you into debt before you walk down the aisle. They have no understanding of the heavy lifting required to finance such an operation. They'll keep working another job to pay for their own amenities and have the audacity to call it their allowance. Additionally, all accurate studies show that any wedding over $20,000 is about twice as likely to end in divorce. Any way you choose to look at it, there is a direct correlation between greed and separation, and there is nothing more greedy than the modern bride. Women are exiting marriages as millionaires simply by sitting on the couch and criticizing a man's every move. If you do the math, this 2 out of 10 wasn't just likely to leave her spouse in the gutter. It was a sure thing. If you inspect the wedding Judge Toller mentioned between Kim Kardashian and basketball player Chris Humphries, most estimated the wedding cost around $10 million. Adding the sex tape and previous husband, any Man Guide fan is probably surprised the union lasted more than 3 minutes. Before anything else, let's take a look at what others have to say. High standards with a low face. just wants the attention, not the commitment. For this face, $100 is enough. At least this comment section has a real backbone. This chick is wanting to be treated like the princess of a small country when we all know she's more run through than the Eurasia Tunnel. Raised on the feminist end of social media, she's probably seen thousands of reels and shorts filled with destination weddings. Weddings that almost always end with a broken man and an all-expenses-paid ride on the carousel. No doubt she'll probably find a guy to have a couple of kids with too, using them as leverage. Guys, in the words of Jimmy McMillan, the rent is too damn high. There is no marriage great enough for you to sacrifice everything you fought for. If any woman tells you to spend $100,000 on a wedding, hose her down with holy water and buy yourself a nice set of wheels. Unlike this too, this hypothetical club girl may come in the form of a solid 9. Whatever the case, keep it holstered and focus on what really matters. No woman on earth is worth that much money. Before we sign off, here's one more story that is bound to brighten your day.
My wife cheated on me and asked for a divorce to get half of the assets when I won the lottery, but she didn't count on one thing, part 2. Yesterday, we finally had the divorce court. She was flaunting it from the beginning, mocking me, saying how foolish I was to have believed her, knowing that she had done the same thing with all her previous husbands, and that I couldn't do anything now. I just laughed, said okay, and took my seat. The division of assets went smoothly. I lost some things, of course, but with the lottery money, these losses meant practically nothing in my budget. Finally, when the judge finished listing the items that would go to each person, of course, he never mentioned the lottery money. My ex-wife was confused and asked if he had forgotten about it, and upon checking again, he said there was no lottery money in my name. At that point, she started making a scene. She said it was impossible and that I was definitely hiding the money, and this was a crime, and I should be arrested. That's when my lawyer began to speak. He said that I, his client, didn't have any money in my name. My parents had signed the ticket, so by law, the ticket and the money belonged to them, and my ex-wife had no rights to it. She turned pale after hearing this. She sat down, thought for a few minutes, talked to her lawyer, and left. Now, she's sending me numerous messages, saying that she's changed her mind and wants to annul the divorce. I told her not to do that because now that I've seen who she really is, I don't want to be near her. She tried to send voice messages crying, saying that she realized I was the love of her life, but I simply blocked her.
It's always nice to end it on a good note. Before being raked over the coals, this guy had the MGTOW premonition. You can't trust anyone with your wallet. He might not have dodged the first bullet, but he managed to come to his senses before it was game over. If he had waited just a little longer and failed to put his winnings in his parents' name, he would have faced the same fate the guy did in the second clip. Broke, alone, and completely emasculated beyond repair. So many brothers before the movement placed trust in their wife with joint bank accounts and a shared estate. Without fail, it always ended the same way. The woman in question was so sadistic that she waited until he was rich to pull the plug. This only reinforces what we all know. The Western woman doesn't see a man at the other side of her bed. Rather, she sees an ATM, waiting for just the right time to make that deceptive withdrawal. Here were the top comments. Love of my life? Bro pulled a Hakimi. After the money is in your account, she will divorce you again. The fact that this member of the Thotosphere had the gall to ask for a redo says everything you need to know about the feminist movement. All the benefits, none of the effort. All the perks, none of the sacrifice. These days, dating in the Western world is like fishing for sharks with bait between your legs. There's no question that you'll come out on the other side maimed and humiliated. Why give any of these 304s that level of power and satisfaction? They never deserve it. Today, men know the best option is to keep your friends close and your valuables closer. There will always be a chick around the corner waiting to make a short-lived exchange. Instead of falling into the same trap, many of which these women lay out multiple times, we've learned to practice self-control, something that is naturally in our wiring to begin with. Just embrace your masculinity and harness it. It's that easy. We know that by following our ambitions to a profitable end, there's no sale enticing enough to give up true freedom. That's just a fact. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get $5. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video. Till next time.